Alright guys, so I just made a video there about some of the spring projects I was looking at doing, and those were, we were going to build some crates out of some pallets, and then I went up on the hill there and I got that disc that we're going to work on. But the weather kind of turned cold and nasty, so what we're going to do is stay in the barn here. Got the wood stove going, it's nice and warm, and we're going to work on this Kubota L-210 here. We'll just do this as a part 3. And the last one we went through the engine and we got the compression a lot better, and now what I'm going to do is work on the electrical. And if you're looking at this and you notice a couple things are different, you'd be right. I ended up putting the bezel on this side, it was missing, and then I put both the headlights in and wired them back up the way they were. And then I also put the emblems on the side here. So we'll kind of go over that, but we're gonna have to track some wires down. I did figure out how to get these to turn on, and we'll probably have to buy a new fuse box or something. The fuse box on this thing looks shot. So yeah, there'll be that. I do want to put some flasher lights on the fenders like I have on my Zetter, and wire those in too. The switch on this thing is a 4-position keyed switch. So the third position are your headlights. We're going to make it that way anyway so that you can turn your headlights on by just turning the key switch back one. And among other things. So I guess let's go ahead and get started on this, and hopefully we can make it right. I did decide that I'm not going to completely restore this tractor. I like it kind of the way it is. I mean, it's got some rust on it and the paint's faded, but we're just going to put it back together and make everything work the way it should. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so I'll just do kind of a quick overview of what I know. So here's the wiring for the lights. It had a little plug on it. I got that all plugged back in, ran the wiring up, and you can see I got a bunch of new nuts and washers on there. I put everything back together, and this can actually go back and get pushed over. But everything's hooked back up here. So when I was putting these headlights back in, I noticed that in the parts that the guy gave me with everything when I bought this, this is the bulb that it's blown, but this is the type of bulb that went in it. I actually had 2 brand new bulbs, so I was able to put 2 new ones in there. So that was nice. Now I come over here, and this was the fuse box, and you can see everything is blown or it's broken. This wire here turns the headlights on and off. So basically when you turn that key switch back 1 position, it sends power to this and turns the lights on. So there's a combination of the way power gets applied to all 4 of these. And I'll just kind of have to figure out what they all go to and what it's for. I was looking here, and there's this little, looks like a pull-out switch, but it's not. It used to be a turn knob, and when I bought this tractor, the guy that I bought it from gave me a bunch of extra parts with it. And this was one of them. You can see here, it's a three position, so you got power come in the middle, and then you got on here, and you got on there. So that's, I believe, what that was supposed to replace, is that switch. So I'll probably go ahead and replace it like the guy who owned it before me was going to do. And we'll just use this switch here. So the other thing is, I noticed this, that's actually an indicator. And the light bulb was out of it. I pushed it back up in there, but it just kind of fell out. And I don't know if that's for the glow plugs or what, but we'll have to maybe look into that. I know one of the wires off of here goes over, and it comes right up into this red and white one. It comes right up into your tachometer there. The tachometer is actually manual. It's not electric. It's got a mechanical cable that spins off of the motor. So that's how that works. And then if we go around to this side, you'll see we have some wiring hanging down here. I think that was cut off of there. So for whatever reason, that's not hooked up anymore. That wire comes up on the inside here, and it connects to what used to be a light sitting on there. You can see I've got some extra ones of these lights, and I'm going to go ahead and put these on in place of that style that was originally on it. And then I've also got an extra flasher. Looking under here, this here appears to be the flasher that that's on it. But like I say, that'll get replaced. If I can use any of this wiring or reuse it, I'll do that. Just gonna have to do a little digging and figure out what each one does. Coming around here, I found this, and I looked down, it was just kind of hanging there. And I looked down here, and we got a plug here. These plugs aren't in very good shape though, but I mean, I would imagine they'd still work. So I should just be able to plug that back together, figure out which wires is what, and hook up that light too. Other than that, that's about all there is to this thing. It's very simple. I'm still debating on how I want to handle this fuse box. I may want to just buy a new fuse box and put it in. And but a little more looking into this and figuring out what does what. The weird thing is I never have to charge this battery, yet these are cut. There's no power going to anything under here. Well, I take that back. There is coming off the switch to that box, but I'm not sure how the generator, you know, it's wired up. I'm not sure how that's charging the battery. Maybe this battery's just big enough I don't ever have to worry about it. But I mean, I've had this tractor for probably going on 3 years now, and I've never had to charge it. It's kind of odd being that it's such a high amp draw when you start. But anyway, let's go ahead and we'll get a start, figure out where to go. So I think I figured out how this thing is actually still charging the battery. I went over here and I looked at the starter, and if you look, it's got a couple different wires on it. And this one here attaches to the positive side of the starter. This big red one comes from the battery, obviously. And so this wire comes up and it goes to this fuse box, and it comes on this back screw there. You can kind of see it there. Then it comes off of this red wire and comes over here to what I assume is a regulator, and then comes off and goes down over to the generator. So that's exactly how that thing is still charging. I don't have to mess with that too much, but I think I am going to go ahead and figure out how to attach these 4 wires back to the power coming in here from the key and the battery. So anyway, that's how it's still charging and why I haven't had to mess with this at all. All right, so I think I have a plan for these fuses that are bad, because I'm sure you can't get these anymore. Here's what it is. So I took one out. It's got 2 screws, and it just holds down this link, and the link isn't covered by anything. I guess I could look and see if I could find them, but what I think I'm going to do is kind of update it a little bit. And I've got, show you over here, I got a bunch of these here. I'm going to use these. These are 12 gauge fuse holders. And I think if I just cut those wires, you know, maybe a couple inches long, put some terminal rings on it, I can screw each side down to the fuse block over there, just the way the other fuse was, and then I'll just have an easy way to replace a fuse now. And so it'll update it to a modern style. But I think that's my plan. I'm going to go ahead and start doing that first. Get all of these put in and sized appropriately for whatever size wire there is there. And it looks like there's not much more than, you know, maybe 10 amp wire or 10 amp fuse that all 4 of these are going to need. So I would probably do a 15 on this, being that there's 2 wires. But let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, here we go. So I got all 4 of them put on. You can see I put all new screws in. Those are 3mm screws. And I had some Allen heads that were just a hair longer, and they fit okay. So it wouldn't surprise me if some of these blue when I start turning the keys on. But that's what we're going to do now and just see what happens. So we'll turn it to the first position. Didn't really hear anything or see anything. Second. The lights came on. That's good. Third. Looks like low beam lights came on. Okay, here you go. Look at the ground. So there's low beam. There's high beam. That's interesting. So that's good. I don't think any of them blew. I'll go ahead and check them. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. And that 15 amp is good too. So we didn't blow any. That's good. That means the wiring's not bad on this tractor. So, where do we go from here? I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and start installing the lights and getting those hooked up somehow. I want to see what these wires here do, because I'm not sure what does what here. These are only a 2-wire, looks like. And then there's a 3rd wire here. And these new lights are a 3-wire. So I think one's for the front, one's for the back if you want to do that independently. More than likely, I'll hook it up as a 2-wire, and we'll just put whichever wires here are the hots. We'll put those together. So let me get those put on. Oh, one more thing. I ended up replacing this steering wheel. I bought this and put it on last week. It's about an inch or 2 smaller. But the old steering wheel on there, it was pretty beat. I mean, it was on the back side here. It was just chipping off, and you know, this stuff is so brittle. You can just break it right off. So I ended up getting a new steering wheel, and I like the fact that it's smaller. It makes it a lot easier to get it on and off the tractor. So I forgot to mention that. Let's get these lights put on. All right, I kind of doubt this is going to come off of here, but I'm going to try it anyway. Oh, that's the wrong way. There we go. Oh. Feels like it's going to break. Oh, yep, it did. That's okay. It's one way to get it off. Yeah, that one broke too. There we go. Yeah, I think that'll work fine. Tighten it up a little bit here and then we'll be good on that side. All right, over to the other side. Yep, she broke. There we go. Huh, that one might come off. Yeah, maybe not. Oh, it broke. Of course, that light is brittle. So I'll have to peel that off of there. There we go. You can definitely tell the difference. That looks pretty good. I guess I better get to fixing that wiring down here that's broken. That wire coming out of there, it might be gone. Might have to push it back through. But this one here, I am going to put some wire loom around all this wire too to protect it. But we'll get that fixed and then we'll see what happens. All right, so I went ahead and I got both of them installed here. I did go ahead and probe out the wiring and figured out what was what here. And I ended up just grounding it there. The old ones bolted on and used the frame as a ground. So we just self-tapped it right into that. So basically the way these work is when you turn the key to the first position, they come on. So they come on as soon as you turn the tractor on. If you turn it on to the other two positions, which is your high beams and low beams, they stay on. So these are evidently made to be on all the time. So what I found out is this switch here is made to be a turn signal, but it's not working right. So if I turn it to the right one gets brighter. If I turn it to the left one gets brighter. And you would think that I could just go and replace this flasher, but I tried that and I put a new flasher on and it still doesn't blink. So I don't know what's going on with that, but I think what I'm going to do is just leave it alone. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. We'll leave it like that. And I've got this light here that I want to install for the 3-point hitch. If it's dark outside and you need to hook up an implement, I'm going to screw this right on here and make it face down towards the hitch. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to have to run 2 new wires for this light. I'm going to pull this old one off and throw that away. But then I'll see if I can find a switch. And I see there's a hole right there. I'm going to put a switch in for it right in there. So I'm going to get working on that, but making progress. All right, I got the light in. What I did was I took that other little bracket out that was here, and I had this grommet. I have a few of them, and that one just seemed to fit fine. So I shoved that wire down through there. And I said I was going to run 2 wires, but I ended up only running 1. So it comes over, and I just screwed the ground right to that same bolt there. And the 1 wire goes up into that, comes down, and I put wire loom on. You can see it there. And it runs along the tractor here. There you go. And right up into that switch. Now, the way I tied power into this is I came over here to the fuse box and I just went ahead and tied into that 15 amp circuit right here. So it's fused off of that link. I run the power from that to the switch, back out of the switch to the light. And what that does is I have to have this key in the on position in order for that light to come on, but here you go. So now we got light on our 3-point. So that works. This indicator here, I noticed it wasn't on. I thought, what the heck is going on with that now? And I came in here and it had one of these odd looking connectors on it. Well, I ended up reconnecting these wires together because this wire here broke off. So took care of that. What else? I think that either this one or this one, I think one of these is going to be oil pressure. So this light should go off when it reaches oil pressure. And I believe the other one, I'm not sure which one, but I believe the other one would be probably the charging system. So if that light's on, you're not charging. If it's off, you are. That's the way it works on my other tractor. There's just a couple of things I wanted to point out. I was missing some of this covered material here, this wire loom on the glow plug wires. So I went ahead and covered all the glow plug wires with it. If there's one thing I know, the sun is terrible for wires, so you always want to make sure you cover them up. The other thing I wanted to talk about was this here. So originally there was a toolbox mounted right there, and it was rusted out, and the bottom was pretty much falling out of it because it was full of water at one point. So if you guys ever need to replace your toolbox, this here is just a Harbor Freight ammo can, and I mounted it on there, drilled holes in the bottom and screwed it down, and these work awesome. I've got one on this tractor, and I've also got one on the Zetter. So they are great for keeping your pins and wrenches and any kind of tools that you're going to need for hooking up your implements or any everyday stuff that you need to do. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. That's a pretty cheap, inexpensive idea. The other one is here. If you can afford this is called a power probe. This has got to be one of the best tools for troubleshooting 12-volt systems. This is awesome because you can supply a ground by just pushing down on that. You can supply a hot by pushing up. It does have a circuit breaker in the side that will trip if you overload it. You can turn the beep on or off. I don't have the beep on. I don't really care about it. But you hook these two up to your battery, and it has a light on the end so you can kind of see what you're probing at. And then if you have to supply power to something, but you don't have a ground nearby, this is close to your power probe, so you can go ahead and ground whatever it is you're probing. So it'll send the ground up by where you're working. So great little tool. I think Harbor Freight even sells this brand. I don't know any other brand that makes them, but this is probably one of the best. I want to say they're about $160. I think it's a 20-foot cord, but I could be wrong on that. But nice little tool for doing this. So let's go ahead and see what everything looks like now that I got all the lights on. Well, I appreciate you guys stopping by to watch, and if you like this kind of stuff, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, and with that being said, I'll see you guys on the next one.